Okay, let's see what's going on with our accessible quote unquote catalog. And we've got some errors. We've got three empty headings. Out of this whole page, we've got some headings that are empty, and I wouldn't be able to tell you why just by looking at it. So we click on the little button, and we see one is here in this banner area. The next one is here at the top of this page, H1 and then H what. And then the last one is it appears as though we've got a couple of them stacked one on top of each other. Yep, that's what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is go down here to the bottom, and I just found out about this nifty little thing today. Down at the bottom of the screen there is a tab that says code. When I click on the thing that says code, well, guess what it shows me? It shows me the code. So when I go to the first H1, we look here and we've got H2, then we've got an H1. And I can't tell by looking at this. So maybe it's just it calls out the heading, but there's nothing in it. And that's exactly what that is. H2, then there's an error because here in the middle between the tags there is nothing, and that leads me to wonder what is supposed to be there and why isn't it there. So there's a page title. Okay, H1 class title, page title. Okay, that's clear enough. There's no title. And then we've got another title, page title, no title. So when the screen reader is operating, it's going to run across these headings and there's not going to be anything in it. So um, maybe I will dig around and see if I can fix that using settings for these blocks, for this banner block, for this main block, and see if that does anything to fix it. We've got some alerts. It just tells me that we're linking to some PDF documents, which could be problematic because, as it says in the explanation, that one of those, and also it shows in the video that one of those has not been optically character recognized and converted into text that the accessibility API can parse. So we've got some alt text, and I nulled out this alt text because I feel like it's redundant information. So let's take a look at what we're looking at. Finding aids thumbnail. So that's not necessarily nulled out, but that's barely descriptive. But I just put something in there because, as I mentioned before, the content editor in Bartik and the way that they've set up those forms is to make for the image media type that the alt text attribute is required before you can save the image object. So that's good and it's bad because sometimes it's not a great idea to force people to use alt tags. And that's probably going to be just about it. I want to just poke at this area for a second. Aria. So we've got a label, site header, so that gives us some context. So when JAWS hits this, it'll say that this is the site header. And then this H2 here is, it's got a little HTML5 class or identifier of header down here. So basically it says it for me right here. I've got 10 header instances, and that's the main header plus the 9 articles. Then we've got 2 navigation instances, and this role navigation is an ARIA role. ARIA labeled by, and then it gives it an identifier that's vaguely descriptive. We've got an aside, which I don't even know what that is. That is aside. Okay, so we looked at that briefly. The complementary role and the aside means that this area over here on the right, the content area, is the main purpose or focus of the page, and then this secondary navigation area over here on the left of the page is just labeled as complementary, and so you can have one without the other. And so I guess that's just an aside. And okay, so we've got some more ARIA roles, article, you know. I wish I knew more about ARIA, but I don't. 3 instances of ARIA label or description. Okay, site header, and then main navigation menu. Because for this one, I just took that main navigation block and I just threw it over here on the right hand side, so it did not take on the tab characteristics that the rest of the Bartik stuff did. And this one is the account. I just, instead of having it up at the top, I just put this over to the side. And then we've got a tab index that just says that we want to force the main content to be the first thing in the tab index when the user hits this page, I believe. And so once it catches this thing here, and I don't even, here it is. Once it catches this in the order, then everything else is going to come after it, I suppose. Okay, that's it for trying to sort out where the accessibility issues were that the wave thing caught. And I'm sure that an astute accessibility evaluator could find a whole lot more to complain about on this page, but I'm going to stand by my assertion that this is not horrible. It might not be the best, but I think that it does what it needs to do, and it's not overly convoluted and confusing. At least I don't think so. And the way that you would find out if that was the case or not is you would get some people who ideally were screen reader users or had some of the other more common disabilities that you would want to test for. The focus this semester and on this Drupal instance is all about JAWS. So I'm not really going to delve very deeply into the other like modes of disability that the WCAG is attempting to address. So anyway, that is the end of this. Thanks.